EduTech Guys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.
Hello and welcome to EduTech Guys Radio, brought to you by the Southwest Arkansas Education Cooperative and Hope Public Schools, both in Hope, Arkansas. I am your solitary co-host so far today. Welcome to the show. I'm David Henderson, and I believe Jeff is on his way. He got tied up in a meeting. It's been one of those crazy days. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. You're listening to EduTech Guys Radio on radio.edutechguys.com. You can check us out on the web. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. You know what you're doing? Forget about it. Anyway, check us out online. Radio. Why do I keep saying radio? Just go to edutechguys.com. All right, there it is. There's the commercial. Go. edutechguys.com. Type it in, click on it, go for it, whatever. Oh, check us out on Twitter at EduTechGuys. Follow along at the hashtag ETGChat, and at some point I will be able to get over and monitor that. Not right now. I got too much going on. I'm running the show by myself. It's a little crazy up in here, but anyhow, you can check us out. The main way to get in touch with us, though, is if you jump over to radio.edutechguys.com and sign into Mixler, pull up the chat, and tell us what you like, what you got going on, and we'll keep up with that. I do have the chat window open, so there is that. That is awesome. What do we have going on today? I'll tell you what, I spent the day teaching a couple of workshops, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about that, those topics there. One is social media for schools. Excuse me, and I've got the hiccups. Love being on the air with hiccups. That's beautiful. Social media for schools, not in schools. And then also I talked a little bit about podcasting, so there you go. There is definitely a show going on, thanks out there to the good doc who's got us tuned in. And feel free to share the love and spread the word. Let folks know that, yes, there is a show. One of the fun things, I use that term very, what's the word? Sarcastically. No. Anyhow, one of the hats that I get to wear around here is fingerprinting guru. Seriously, yeah, we do digital fingerprints here, and the system went a little bonkers right at the time I was about to launch the show. So at least, we hadn't launched the show yet, but I mean, it was right then. And they were like, could you come work on this? So there you go. One of the many things we do here, many hats we wear in our jobs, on our regular day jobs here at EduTech Guys. So getting into the meat of what was going on, for me anyway, earlier today, that is social media for schools, not in schools. And the reason why I wanted to make that distinction, a lot of times when you've got a workshop or your professional development or a lot of the things that you see online and that talks about social media and it talks about schools, it's talking about social media in schools, meaning what are your students doing with it, or how do you keep your students off of it, those types of things. And we weren't talking about that today. What we were talking about today is social media for schools. How can schools use social media to promote themselves, to tell the world what's going on, and yet at the same time keep the individuals who are running those social media accounts separated from the personal side of social media? So we looked at creating accounts using school email addresses. Ideally, what and what I did here, and I guess maybe that's why I say ideally, because it's what I did. So, it's got to be the right way to go if I'm the one who did it. You know what I'm saying? Just throwing it out there. Oh, okay. Hang on. Let me adjust some things here real quick. There we go. Let me ramp that up. That's probably too freaking loud now. But anyway, I had turned down my mic a little bit because I was afraid I was going to be too boisterous in here. But anyway, we'll ramp that up. And okay, now it's overkill. Thanks, man. Let's try this. How about that? Is that a little better? We're gonna try things out, see what happens. I don't know. You know what? We'll go for it. There it is. Anyhow, in schools, when you're talking about leveraging that social media, what I did for my folks, at least for our main organization account, is I actually created accounts that were non-user specific. Part of the reason for that is because I wanted to be able to have those accounts available regardless of who was working here, right? So if I happen to be over the account and I go off and do something else, I don't know, maybe EduTechGuys takes off and that's what I'm going to do. Maybe my YouTube channel takes off, which, as a side note, holy cow, it has been blowing up lately, and that is freaking phenomenal, but that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But if for some reason, or for that matter, let's just say that the administration here changes, or anybody that's involved with our social media changes positions or moves on to another organization, we would still have those accounts that we could use, not being tied to any particular individual. So if you are thinking about providing accounts for your district, and you want to open up social media channels for your district, I wholeheartedly recommend that you use an account that is not tied to anybody in particular. Now I realize, you get into issues with, passwords, all that, but be responsible, man. Just be responsible. So, but as it turns out, the folks that were in this workshop did not have that luxury. However, they did have the luxury of using their school email accounts to set up social media accounts for their particular departments or subject areas, their particular classroom. And so they were actually pretty excited about that, the fact that they could create Facebook pages for their program. For example, one of them is a middle school, I believe middle school, maybe elementary, I can't remember now, but it was a GT program. So she wanted to create a gifted and talented Facebook page, but didn't want to use her personal account. No problem. We just had her create a Facebook account under her professional email address and went on from there. And we did that with several folks. I had a couple of people in the workshop who were not heavy Twitter users. In fact, they really didn't. It's not that they didn't understand Twitter, but they're not heavy users of Twitter for various reasons. But this gave them an opportunity to explore Twitter in a professional setting without having their personal information attached to it. And so I think, for me anyway, as we were talking with them and talking to them about social media and using social media for the district, I think that really helped really alleviate some of the fears they had of keeping things separate, right? They want personal life personal, professional life professional, and absolutely, I get it. I totally understand that. In fact, I ended up a long time ago, I created a professional account for our corporate Facebook page when we first created one. And then the advantage that you also have to that is that you can turn around and, as the administrator of that page, then you can add other folks in who might need to be administrators. And that could be, and this gets really weird because you're talking administrators of administration. It's the same word for different contexts. But anyway, so what we're doing is going with that particular account so that in certain cases they might have to work with their administrators in the district to determine who is going to actually administer the page. Clear as mud? Yeah, great. Glad I could clear that up for you. So one of the things that we did, though, one of the things I explained to them was that before jumping off into social media for your district, and this applies across the board, no matter what, check with your district. See if your district has somebody who already oversees social media outreach for your district. See if there's a policy in place about starting up your own social media outreach for your classroom, for your particular department, for whatever it is you do at the district. See if there's already a policy about handling that. In fact, we had one of the participants, she reached out to her administrator while she was here, and she asked her, hey, could I set up a Facebook page for my GT program? The administrator said, yeah, go for it, no problem. And so that was a huge deal, at least for her. Hey, wow, I'm getting approval to go forth and do this. So very cool. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I also happen to be one of those folks that's shall we say, ask forgiveness rather than permission kind of person. So if you happen to be of that mindset, then you got that too. You just do it and deal with the consequences. Whatever. You take that for whatever you need to do, want to do in your district. But that's where we started things. And I talked to them about connecting those particular entities. So we had folks connecting their Facebook with their Twitter. And I wanted to purposely show them things like IFTTT. So I had them go out to if this, then that, and use recipes to match up those various accounts. And we did that kind of thing. And I'm going to take a breath because my co-host.
So you completely confused them is what you did. That's what
I did. It was awesome, really.
That is good, though. It lets them understand the simplicity and yet the complexity that you can do with social media.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was cool about it, it was perfectly divided. We had a couple of folks who were, as soon as I would say something, they were off running, knew what to do with it. They didn't know before, but it was one of those things they didn't know what they didn't know. Yeah. And so as soon as they knew, then bam, they were gone. And then we had some users that needed a little more hand holding and some more of the hands-on, let me step you through this, walk you through. We actually had one user in here who she was trying to set up her stuff and didn't realize that she had already set herself up from a previous workshop. So that was a whole other.
Oops. Yeah. That's a terrible. Well, no,
it's not terrible,
but it sure does slow down the workshop.
But it does. It does.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I was good. I mean, not good like pat on myself back good. It was I was a good boy and did not. Of course, I wouldn't anyway. I don't berate folks for. When things get kind of hung up. But by the same token, as the workshop was getting close to the time that the time was going to be over, and I hadn't covered half the things I wanted to cover, I bulldozed through several things that I knew the folks who were ahead could handle, and the folks who were behind were just going to get lost. I mean, sometimes that's the trade-off we have to do. I can't. I couldn't hold hands at that point any further, and I just had to say, look, I'm going to barrel through this. If after the workshop you want a little bit of help with that, then that's what we do. But, as it turned out, they were able to pretty well keep up. The folks who had fallen behind were pretty well able to at least understand where I was going with it. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry I'm late.
That's cool, man. It's all good. Is that what you drink?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's one of those shows. We laid back.
We're letting it all hang
2 weeks
out.
before school, so
Wear a brick house.
Well, cool. You want to take a quick break with play a little music? You got any music?
I can. I've got Nick C's Daydreaming off of his debut LP.
Take a little break.
So we'll take a break and grab a little Nick C. Here you go. Daydreaming on EduTechGuys Radio.
Nick puts these like 17
Whoa,
seconds on there.
welcome back.
We gotta have a talk with Nick C. He likes to put like this long
There's a
dead space at the end of his. You know what it is? It's because it's the dead space is at the end of his song, so you're either clapping or crying. Because depending on how good the song is.
Man, you think this is my first show ever?
You think?
Yeah, I sure seem to act that way.
Psst, the song is over. Yeah, thanks, Doc. We figured that out as we watched it disappear on the thing.
That's okay. Hey, so but some of the other stuff that when I was talking to the participants in the workshop about social media for schools, we talked about things, ways schools can use social media as an outreach to parents, out to the community. Things like teachers can use it in ways of communicating out things like assignments, due dates, just general things happening in the classroom. So we kind of those are some of the things that we had talked about in the workshop, and for example, and I hate to keep using the GT person, but she just, like I said, she grabbed onto it and man, she just ran with it. They've got a chess tournament coming up, and they were actually looking for some parent volunteers, and so that's what she wants to be able to use her page for, those kinds of things, not just for, hey, there's a chess match coming up, but we need folks to help. We need some warm bodies. If you're not doing anything, come out and please help us with the chess tournament type stuff. And to me, I think that's a great use of social media once you build up your following.
Yeah.
The problem she has right now is she literally created the page today.
Yeah.
So she could put that out there, but who's going to see it?
Who's going to see it?
Yeah. Nobody.
Yeah, I think the biggest deal about social media, there's so many. It's a two-edged sword as it goes, because there's the good and the bad. That's one of the problems is that you have to be consistent with social media,
right,
to gain followers and to gain trust.
Right.
And any teenager will tell you that.
Yeah.
From Snapchat to whatever.
Right.
Well, this person is funny, but they only Snapchat like once every 3 days. Well, that's not cool.
Right.
Because
exactly.
Then I don't really care what you're doing. Instagram's the same way, but I think it's interesting. The problem with Facebook, and I know Facebook is working on this area. They're not working on it hard because they make trillions of dollars off of us anyway, so they really don't have to. But the problem with Facebook is that pretty much anyone can comment. That's where it gets, you get to a point where you have to take the good with the bad.
Right. Well,
and there's the thing that you have to be really careful of when you're a teacher is that when you have a place that they can put a comment, because you can't stop comments from happening.
Well, you can actually.
You can turn them off now?
You can turn off comments, but it's at least so far as I was able to tell, it's all or nothing. So you either have comments and you have to deal with them, or you don't have comments.
Right.
Now, by the same token, you can institute things like foul language. Right. Yeah, exactly.
But see, there's the.
But even that, it's set to whatever Facebook decides is profane.
Right.
I can't add words in there.
Yeah.
At least not that I could tell.
But see, there's the kicker is that if you turn off the whole commenting thing, you actually turn off sharing and everything. So you just crippled yourself to what you're doing. You're literally just posting a picture on a Facebook page that cannot be reshared anywhere. And that is the bread and butter of social media.
Well, it's no longer social.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
It's a web page.
Yeah. That's like, there are, and I don't, anyway, there are many blogs that I read, right? And heck, there are a lot of, YouTube, YouTubers. I lost the word I was looking for. But there are a lot of folks that post content on YouTube, and you can't comment. You can't comment on blog posts, and you can't comment on their YouTube. That's not social. That's you spewing forth your ideas, your ideals, your content, and hoping somebody latches onto it and says, "Oh yeah, that's great." No, if I can't interact, I'm probably not going to revisit. I mean, frankly, that's a one-way street, and there's no social in your particular social media. You have media.
Yeah,
so
it's just
who gives a crap? I might as well be reading a newspaper.
But there's the thing too. I always say when schools ask me about, what if they comment? I said leave commenting on, because here's why: fools' names like fools' faces. always seen in public places. So, that's the two-edged sword to that
Right.
person too. If there's a beloved teacher or a school that's doing real well, that one or two people that might attack you on social media, that's really good for you actually. That could help bolster your acceptance by your students and your and
Sure.
the parents, and get a conversation started. Why would these two parents think this? Why would this parent say this about this on here?
Right.
And that's a conversation that can help fix some problems in your classroom or the school.
And now, by the same token, if you have a particular user who just continues to, throw up stuff and abuse and just, whatever, you can actually ban that person from the page.
That's true.
So,
yeah,
you could always just,
I think
cut off their legs and there you go.
I love Twitter. I'm just a big fan of Twitter because, I like being wrangled into 140 characters.
Yeah.
And there's funny. We have Facebook. We have the EduTech Facebook guys, facebook.com/EduTechGuys. And I don't have alerts turned on for Facebook because I don't want alerts from Facebook. Now I have alerts turned on from Twitter. I think you do too.
Yeah.
We get our alerts from Twitter because to me it's a feed. To me, Facebook has become this thing that you go to and you go back through. I DVR'd the show. Now let me see what.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. Twitter's really not like that because by the time I get on Twitter, there's a few people I might check out, but overall it's like, okay, I missed all this stuff. What's happening right now? Because Twitter is just right now because there's just so much always going on.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, and it is. Yeah, that's exactly right. It is right now, and if you miss it, it blows by you, and there's a good chance you're not gonna see it.
You put coming up next on MySpace.
Well, yeah, just see the good document.
Tom is my friend, and Tom's everybody's friend. Actually, that's the MySpace motto. Tom's your friend. You have your first friend. It's Tom.
Tom.
Hey, Tom. The interesting thing about social media is a good friend of mine lately, Friendster. A good friend of mine lately applied for a job, and the job was kind of a PR job, But
yeah.
One of the questions was in education, post-secondary education, and one of the questions was, where do you see social media in education in 5 years? Now, I have to go ahead and say I want to call BS on the air on that one because where do you see social media in 5 years? Now, I would be hard pressed to tell you where I see social media in a year, because
Right.
if I look back a year ago where social media was, or 2 years ago, here's the best part. Let's talk about it. Oh, sorry, I'm beating the table. That's how mad I am. Think about this. So 5 years ago was 2011. Where was social media then? 5 years ago from right now, it was really actually non-existent.
Well, I don't know about that.
But schools were the last thing we
Oh,
wanted.
no, yeah.
Education.
Okay, so
In fact, here's the way to put it. If you're a tech coordinator out there, or you're in educational tech, how many of you still had Facebook and every form of social media blocked in 2011?
okay, so that's a death. I was just going to say, all right, so now I'm going to step a little further back than 2011, but we moved into this new building in 2010. Before we moved into the building, we moved in like August 2010. So I want to say it was maybe June of that year. I had done a workshop where the director at the time wanted every district to send people to this workshop, and it was all about social media for schools, in schools. Okay, so this is 2010 June-ish, somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. I had a friend June-ish. Anyway, so we have this workshop. We call all these people in. I'm up there, and I'm talking about Facebook and Twitter, and I think those were the two ones that I concentrated on. I don't think I even talked about any other. I don't remember, but I definitely remember Facebook and Twitter. And it was amazing how many districts were just, we're not having that. We'd block it all, shut it all down, blah, blah. Even though, even at that time, I could demonstrate schools all over the nation, and I know, shocker, schools in Arkansas who were absolutely blowing up their Twitter feeds, their Facebook pages. They were doing it right, and I was demonstrating that. No, they were just like, we're not doing it. We're not going to have.
That's because Facebook is the devil.
I'll be dead before there's Facebook in my district. And well, that happened to some of them. But anyway,
But
but I mean, how crazy is
how
that?
many of those schools that were early adopters of Facebook have high test scores?
Oh my God, dude! Jeez, man.
Now I wouldn't know where to look.
7.
Wouldn't that be an interesting study?
That would,
and what would be
I
funny
guess.
is if we saw that schools with a higher understanding of communication, parental and community communication that dates back farther, even to social media, possibly. Because here's the thing: what you're talking
I don't know
about,
though. Are we making at that point though? That to me just screams correlation without causation.
Well,
there's a correlation, but not that either one had an effect on
But
either
right
one.
now, in the state of Arkansas, in the country, there are school districts who still banned all social media from
sure.
their students and their kids, their teachers and their staff. But what I'm getting at is, wouldn't we agree that, the biggest thing we're talking about now is communication.
Sure.
And those schools that got social media and understood, the communication values of it, is it possible that there is a fine correlation? And it would be interesting to see that. Because today, when we're teaching workshops, even today, you had 10 people in a workshop. One of them is thinking, not going to do it. Not going to happen. These kids are bad, and they're just going to get on there and say bad words about me and put my picture up, and I'm not getting on the Facebook. Not going to happen.
Right.
That's my best stuff.
That was a
Pretty bad.
Was that supposed to be George Bush?
That was not gonna happen. That's George Bush. This is not gonna happen. So,
That was almost Donald Trump.
this is not gonna.
I don't know what you're doing, man.
I've lost my mind.
This show has gone off the rails.
It would be interesting to see that. And I know. But here's the thing: how dare you accuse me of correlation with? I'm crazy like that. But it would be interesting to see, because wouldn't it be an aha moment if you actually looked at it and went, "Holy crap, yeah, that's interesting."
I would be interested then to see if there happened to be a correlation, right? So let's say there is a correlation. Schools hitting social media hard and heavy, test scores increasing, great, whatever,
or staying the same even. Yeah.
Well, okay.
Not falling.
So then the question is, where is the causation? All right, so we have the correlation part. Where is the cause? Why is there that correlation? Is it straight up because there was more communication, or because there was more communication, something else was happening, and therefore that's what actually caused
the word that comes to
scores
mind,
go up?
everybody likes to say, is transparency.
Well, right.
And so, and here's an interesting thing, because the correlation would suddenly be, okay, schools that got it and this happened, then what was their student policy on cell phone usage or social media uses during class, or that kind of thing, and then to see it and go, oh, hey, look, they were 2/3 of these were BYOD.
Right.
And these kids were also on social media, which means they were following the social media that the school was creating, therefore creating a finite or infinite loop of information that kept everybody along the same lines. And these parents that were following their students and following the school,
sure,
and so now we have this transparency of information that, it's just flowing beautifully. And there's an interesting part about where we're talking about, and you and I've said it 100 million times. It's already 2017. Twitter was created in 2006. It's already 2006. It's already 2011. It's the 21st century. So, the whole thing about it is that we want them to use this technology and to learn to use it responsibly.
Oh, yeah.
And it would be great to court. So here's the great things we could learn from all that. Yes, this happened. This is where this came from. These people were using Facebook and their test scores stayed the same or got better and now we can actually say, well, because parents were more informed, students were more informed, students were more engaged, students were on their devices, but learned to use their devices for fun and learning.
Fun and learning?
How dare you say fun and learning?
Surely you jest. I know. Stop calling you Shirley. So, all right. So I have two.
My middle name, Jeffrey S. Madlock, is actually Shirley. No.
That's a piece of trivia for you, folks. All right. So I have two things here. One is, what if the opposite correlation shows up.
Oh, well, then we take it out of schools and we ban it. We go, we're not have it in there.
I was just curious.
Social
All right.
media is the devil.
So then my other thing is, let's get back to the original question that was posed. Where do you see social media in 5 years, and how ridiculous of a question is that?
It is kind of ridiculous, even if you find it out either way, because you can't predict it that far down.
Where do you see anything in 5 years? I mean, seriously, especially as far as technology, education technology, no way.
I mean,
I'm sorry, there's no. How do you predict that?
Only
So how do
thing
you?
I can predict in 5 years is I will weigh about 490 pounds.
At the rate I'm going, I'm right there with you. So here's the question though, a follow-up thought. If you had been asked that question, what would your response have been?
See, there we go. Okay, so yeah, we're in the interview.
So I'm interviewing it, and I am of the mindset that this is a valid question, and I say
I have the perfect answer.
the perfect answer is
And I would say, that's a great question. And I think the answer to that is actually in the question itself back to you. Where do you want it to be? Because that's the beautiful part of social media and where we are in technology right now. Where do you want it to be? And that's the question we have to ask ourselves, is that where do we want social media to be in 5 years in education? Because guess what? A while back, we got to start making those decisions on our own. The moment that it all opened up, and it goes back decades,
sure.
the information superhighway means you get to choose where you'll be in 5 years. And where technology has come in the last 5 years alone, really, remember when it was, I wouldn't even know where to begin to create an app. I can throw a rock and hit an app developer at this point. So, right. But think about it. I mean, we're in education now. The question is that, no, where do you want to be in 5 years? So the question is, that's for us to ask. I mean, great question. Where do you see your social media and education in 5 years? I see it wherever that entity wants it to be. And how much time and money and influence and responsibility that they put into it, that's where social media will be in 5 years, exactly where you want it to be. So yes, I'm giving you kind of a open-ended answer question to your question.
Right.
But there's not a solid answer to that. There's not a solid answer. There is one solid answer. Well, we have noticed in the last decade that social media encompasses a large portion of our lives. And it encompasses even a larger portion of student lives. So it's going to be one of the most influential things in education for children in primary, elementary, secondary education, and on in life. So there's a great one. You know that lifelong learners. Well, they're lifelong social media people too.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
how many schools are incorporating platforms so even their young kids can have social media inside the classroom or inside the school?
Oh, absolutely.
So
Things like Edmodo and
Moodle,
other
all the stuff. Any of those education-based software pieces. And there's that cool part. I mean, look what we're doing, a podcast. This is all about, and what do we say in every podcast? Hit us on the web. Look us up on Facebook. Hit us up on Google+. Get us on Instagram. Catch us on Twitter. I mean, and we're asking all the children to do it too. And so there's an interesting thing. This is the future. And very few of us are taking the opportunities in education to harness that. I was thinking about that, and I'm not trying to deviate, but it's an open show today, and we're having a good time. Anything that you've ever learned in your life that you love was fun. And the reason that came up is because the good doc said, "You're telling me you can have fun in learning? Where's the iron-fisted teacher?" See, there's what's really interesting. We still hear that a lot. There's rules and regulations and policies.
Yeah.
But what's really fun, interesting is that anything that you do well in your life, you find fun. And now that we're not held captive by the set of Encyclopedia Britannicas in the classroom of the library and the knowledge of the teacher and the textbook. And that's all we had.
Right.
In the library. Since we're not held to that anymore, then there's kind of no reason we're not having fun, and we're not using social media to find that. Now, I have to, I'll give a big shout out to one of our first-time guests and our first guest ever on the show, and I think one of the top media guys in the state of Arkansas, and that's Stoney Evans. Stoney does stuff with schools all over the world with Microsoft through Skype. Mystery Skype and Skype meetings, and he's got kids. He had kids all summer just coming up to hang out in the library and do some work. And why? because it's fun.
Right.
And, I'm learning all this stuff. And those kids were teaching most of their teacher workshops in PD the last 2 weeks. So I think so back to that. That's my answer. Where do you want it to be? I mean, we're at that point now where I think that you and I have done it more in the last couple of years. I do it. And I do something too, is that I like to just say, let the kids do it. They'll tell us what we need to do. They should be in those when you're sitting with your teachers and everyone going, so what should we do? How should we post on the website? And what should we do with this? There should be 2-to-1 kids in the room.
Yeah.
And you should ask those kids, and they're going to go, nobody uses. Listen, only our parents use Facebook. So you can put that stuff on Facebook, but we're never going to see it. If you want us to see it, get a Snapchat.
Well, okay, but do you really think that students would say, put it on Snapchat? I don't think so, because
they don't want us to know where they are.
That's exactly right.
But there's a kicker.
They're gonna whatever the hot social media platform is for our students.
Right.
As soon as we, as adults, start to invade that, there's a little bit of time period where it's okay, it's cool, and then, frankly, a lot of times, education moves in and the kids move out, and they're like, "Oh crap, the schools are here. I'm out of here."
Yeah, but there's the thing is I think I agree with you. I do agree with you. And it's interesting because I've been thinking about that a lot lately. About how do you get kids? Where's the communication breakdown? How do you keep them entertained? So, in the last couple of weeks, you and I have been taking some goofy pictures and trying to make some,
Right.
goofy posts about them.
Sure.
Because it's funny. And we like to be funny. And there's an interesting part about America. America is inherently funny. I mean, good comedy. I mean, yes, the Brits had some great comedy, and they still do have great comedy. But, America's like the comedy explosion. And everything. Well, here's the interesting part.
We're the
Think about
unsophisticated
Well, yeah,
comedy.
but think about our kids. Our kids. What's that coming of age that the kids nowadays could go? I'm watching. Did you watch Saturday Night Live? Because all the kids like that stuff. There's a comedy show that they work off of. And if you follow most students, the reason they follow kids on Instagram or Snapchat is because of we have freedom comedy. That's shut up, Doc. So, but there's the crazy part is they follow Snapchat and they follow Instagram and they follow whatever the sneaky one that they finally have one. I'm sure they use that no adult knows about.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
It looks like the Amazon app or something.
Right. Yeah.
But everything they do is funny. It's all about memes and kitten pictures and all this kind of stuff. There's nothing wrong with a school doing that. A school getting it across, and I think that's what I'm getting about Snapchat is that they don't want you on there, but if it's funny and it gets the point across and it says don't be a booger, be at the homecoming dance and dig it all night long in your nose or whatever, I don't know, but
What the heck are you talking about?
dig it, baby.
All right, so while you're digging stuff out of your nose, here's a little Nick Flora. Oh my gosh, this was not intentional. Nobody gets out clean.
Haha, boogers.
I was shown how to love at an early age. I was given attention and time. And if I needed help, I looked for someone else. And never learned to do it by myself. I was taught to fear what I did not know, but to trust a God I could not see. To look high to heaven and fear the fires of hell, but never to trust myself. Nobody gets out clean. There's no such thing as a great escape. The struggle in everything. son still beats inside of me, and he's scared to make mistakes, but nobody gets out clean. There's no such thing as a getaway. The struggle in everything, and there's no finding another way. Walk a mile on the other side, and then you'll finally see nobody gets out clean. Yeah. Wherever we hide it, we are united by the feeling that we're alone, but we're not alone. We're not alone. No such thing as a getaway. There's no finding another way. It's easier to place the blame on someone else, but no. Oh, it's not enough. Oh, we gotta let ourselves love and let go. 'Cause nobody gets out clean. There's no such thing as a getaway. There's struggle in everything, and there's no finding another way. Walk a mile on the other side, and then you'll finally see nobody gets out. When nobody gets out, when nobody gets out clean.
All right, there you go. Nick Flora. Nobody gets out clean. EduTechGuys Radio.
.com. Well, we had one a while ago. That wasn't maximum haulage,
It was not maximum haulage.
but I know one that is maximum haulage.
Uh-oh.
It's a soft song, but it is. It's Sister Christian all the time. You can't say that Night Ranger's not maximum haulage,
That's
even if they're singing a ballad.
Yeah.
What's the number one Kiss ballad? Anybody know? It's got a girl's name in it.
I have no idea.
I'm not gonna.
I don't know.
That's trivia. If you know that one, it's so funny.
Jennifer, Laura, Betty Sue. I don't know.
I'm not gonna tell you. I'm gonna let it sit there.
I don't care.
You should.
Oh crap! Hey, listen.
Look it up.
We had something else we were going to talk about, and now I can't remember. It fell out of my head. So let's talk about where we're going to be coming up. November 30th through December 3rd, we'll be in Savannah, Georgia at the National AESA Conference. And then in January 24th through the 27th, Orlando, Florida, we will be at the FETC Conference. Those are both going to be awesome stuff coming up. We also have some stuff coming up in October. We're working on that, trying to finalize to see exactly where we're going to be and what we're doing. So
We're so popular. We're double booking ourselves.
is that what it is?
Mall openings don't happen every day, people.
That's exactly. I think I'm alone now.
We moved on up to the big time.
We are.
Hey, you can check us out at the opening of a Subways in Akron, Ohio next week.
That's right. We're going on our Tiffany Mall tour.
Oh, hey, you know what? It's getting close to that time. It's time for
Google App of the Week. Oh, I guess this is a Google update of the week.
our
I don't know.
tip of the week.
Tip. Okay, I need to fix that. Google tip of the week. Let me try that again. Take two. Google tip of the week.
I'd get something in there. Hey, you remember that time we lost all of our
Holy
listeners
cow.
that we had?
Oh, you mean today? That day? This day here?
Okay, so these are yours. You put these in here. Did you put these?
Oh my gosh, I don't know why that hit me so funny. Maybe because we've lost all of our listeners. So I have a couple of things. These were actually just out, and they focus on Google Apps for education, Google Apps for business, and there's a couple of things. One that came out Monday, you could now, when you copy a document in Google Drive, as soon as you right-click and tell it copy, you can now select where you want that copy to go. So you can specify the location. It's awesome. And there's actually several choices in there, which is kind of cool.
That's crazy.
And so that's very, very cool. And then
I want to see that.
something that just came out yesterday? What is today?
Today
the
is
3rd?
Wednesday the 3rd, yeah.
Yeah, so yesterday, the 2nd, August 2nd, if your Google administrator enables this feature, then the users can now self-initiate mail imports. All right?
Oh, mail imports.
Yeah, mail and contacts.
Okay.
That's actually not sounding any better, is it? So, oh my gosh. Wow. And
Evolved into that.
the EduTech guys go blue. All right. So what that means is in the administrator control panel, there is an option for the administrators to enable users to be able to import their own email and contacts from external sources. So like before, when we, back in the old days, when we converted over, we had to run the whole, Outlook, Exchange, whatever connector thing to import all the mail and contacts and all that stuff. Now, Google has opened that up, and it's not just like Outlook. I mean, there's Yahoo and AOL Mail, Hotmail. There's a whole slew of
Holy smokes, there's
providers.
GeoCities. I'm just kidding.
GeoCities. There's Tripod. What? But they can import their email and contacts from those other entities into their Google Apps for Education or Google Apps for Business system. So essentially, that takes a huge chunk, or potentially a huge chunk, off of the administrator.
That's awesome. I was disappointed the list did not have Prodigy in it. Remember Prodigy?
Oh yes, my uncle. I'm going to tell on my uncle. My uncle, who lives in Pittsburgh, he and his wife had Prodigy up until very, very recently, and I mean it's like within just a few years. Really? I didn't even know it was still a thing. Yeah, Prodigy.
That's interesting.
So there you go.
There's one. So hey, let's finish with
I like that.
Yeah, here's
Oh.
one. 10 early ISPs and what's become of them. Let's just talk about who they were. CompuServe. I remember CompuServe.
Yeah, I remember CompuServe.
MindSpring.
Yes,
remember those guys? HE.net. I don't think I know that one.
I never heard of HE.net.
PSINet?
Yeah, SciNet. I remember
Yeah.
SciNet.
UUNet.
Yeah.
The World. AOL.
AOL.
Prodigy. Delphi and Earthlink.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
That's wild.
Holy cow.
Pretty impressive.
Man,
So?
there you go. All right, so the good doc wants to know if the answer to the question was Beth. Is that number one ballot?
That is.
That is. There you go. Ding, ding, ding. The good doc wins the KISS question of the week.
What do you mean? He says, I question Kiss fans even more now. That's a great song. Beth is a great song. Beth, I hear you calling, but I don't know something that I don't know the words.
All right.
The good dog can figure it out.
you can Google the lyrics.
Oh, yeah, I forget about that. The internet is amazing.
The internet is, they have this thing, and it's called the Google.
Is there a cloud of something in here? I feel like
There's a cloud over us.
Today, I'm not going to laugh to you. I hit my head. I think I have a major head injury.
That is not good. That explains the bulge.
whole day.
That explains the bulge on the side of your head. I thought you were trying to grow something there.
That's my hair.
Oh,
Thanks.
sorry.
Well, you want to call it a day?
Sweaty balls.
Is
Yeah.
it
There was SNL.
Oh, that's right. It is an SNL.
Oh, well, what are you freaking out for?
We do the cat show. Anyway,
The cat show.
hey,
No,
listen, it's
no,
been a great show.
no,
we're
we
gonna kick off a little early because
Because we are
we're
stupid.
getting goofy right now, and
We
this
are.
is we hadn't done a goofy show like this in a long
It's
time.
been a while, but that's okay. You know, sometimes you just got to let I'd say our hair down, but neither one of us really has that much. So.
We're older guys.
Anyhow,
Well, you've been listening to the car talk. No. So hey,
guess I'm the dead one. Oh,
I'm Jeff Madlock.
I'm David Henderson.
We'll see you on the funny pages.
You've been listening to EduTechGuys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.